Hey everybody, I'm starting my first recording of both playing the audio and giving commentary on scene one of Hamlet, which is going to be really weird because my cohort is sitting right here listening to it, and they're going to hear me, but not the audio. But we're just going to go with it. So as you were, put your headphones back on so this isn't totally boring for you. All right, so if you're looking at this version of the book, which I think most of you have, but whether you are or aren't, you want to look at the dramatis personae or cast of characters, whichever it says in each of those versions. First things you want to notice, Claudius is the king of Denmark. Okay, that's our setting. Hamlet is son to the late Hamlet, okay, which means there was a king, an old king Hamlet. He is now gone, and he is nephew now to the present king. What does that mean? That means the present king must have married his mother, right? Who, by the way, is the brother of the guy who's dead. Okay, so that's weird. Polonius is the Lord Chamberlain, which means he is the main advisor to the king. Probably was the advisor to the old Hamlet, now is advisor to Claudius, the current king. So all this is the situation as the story, as the play begins. Okay, Horatio is Hamlet's best friend. They're both going to kind of be coming back from basically like graduate school, like college. They're in their early 20s, right? Laertes, son of Polonius, and if you look down a little bit further, he's also got a daughter too. I don't know why that doesn't have that until down there later, but anyway, Voltimand, Cornelius, Rosencrantz, Guildenstern, Osric, those are all courtiers, which just means they're going to be important people that are going to be kind of around. Okay, you'll see who they are eventually. There's a priest. There's Marcellus, Bernardo, and Francisco, who are all basically soldiers or officers, and it's going to start the play with those people of lower rank outside the castle. There's going to be something going on here in a minute as we start the audio. Ronaldo is a servant to Polonius. There's two what they call clowns, but they're really grave diggers. Actually kind of has to do with this image that you see right here, holding up the skull. You'll see how that happens. We have Fortinbras, who is a prince of Norway. I'll go ahead and tell you that he had a father, Fortinbras, who's also dead. Kind of a parallel situation there. There's a captain, some English ambassadors later that won't make sense to you right now. And then Gertrude is the queen of Denmark, and now it tells us mother to Hamlet. Okay, so Hamlet's father died somehow. His mom married the person who was his uncle, which basically now makes him his uncle and his stepdad at the same time. Not creepy at all. Then we have Ophelia, who's a daughter to Polonius. There's going to be a connection to Hamlet that you'll see in other basic kind of unnamed characters. Oh, and a ghost of Hamlet's father. Look at that. All right, the scene is Denmark. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this audio. And I'm going to let it run, and I'm going to occasionally pause like I would in class. Okay, so here we go. Scene one, Elsinore, a platform before the castle. The whole play is on this whole sound file, by the way, and I'll kind of announce what time I'm starting each one. I guess you can probably see it too, just so in case you need to listen to it on your own. You want to listen to me, that's fine too. Here we go. Fading in. Note as it fades in, you have Francisco at his post. Enter to him Bernardo. I'll kind of read the stage directions as we go.
Prince of Denmark.
It's just reading the cast now. So they're basically guarding the castle.
Kenneth Branagh as Hamlet, Derek Jacobi as Claudius.
If you ever want to watch a really good movie version of Hamlet,
as Gertrude,
the guy who's doing the audio, or playing the part of Hamlet here in this audio, there's a picture of him there. Made a movie in 1996, and it's literally every line of the play. You can literally read the play while watching it, which actually is kind of difficult, but it's a great thing to watch if you're kind of into it, want to visualize it. Highly recommend it. We'll talk about it in class. I'm just killing time until the play starts here.
And John Gielgud as the ghost.
Here we go.
Hamlet, Prince of Denmark.
Who's there?
Me! Answer me! Stand and unfold yourself!
Long live the king!
Bernardo?
He!
You come most carefully upon your hour.
'Tis now struck 12. Get thee to bed, Francisco.
For this relief, much thanks. 'Tis bitter cold, and I'm sick at heart.
Have you had quiet guard?
Not a mouse stirring.
Well, good night. If you do meet Horatio and Marcellus, the rivals of my watch, bid them make haste.
I think I hear them. Stand! Who's there?
Okay, so Horatio, who's not actually one of the guards, but is more of a higher level socially guy, is a friend of Hamlet's is there, and Marcellus. Notice they sound kind of apprehensive, and they know somebody else is supposed to be coming, but they sound kind of scared about what's going on, right? Kind of nervous.
Friends to this ground,
And liegemen to the Dane.
Give you good night.
Oh, farewell, honest soldier. Who hath relieved you?
Bernardo has my place. Give you good night.
Hola? Bernardo?
Say, what? Is Horatio there?
oh, a piece of him.
Welcome, Horatio. Welcome, good Marcellus.
What? Has this thing appeared again tonight?
I have seen nothing.
Horatio says 'tis but our fantasy, and will not let belief take hold of him, touching this dreaded sight, twice seen of us. Therefore I have entreated him along with us to watch the minutes of this night, that if again this apparition come, he may approve our eyes and speak to it.
Okay, so this apparition has this thing appeared again tonight. They brought Horatio out there. Maybe he's a little bit more scholarly, right? Can you figure out what's going on here? Because there's something creepy going on outside the castle. And it seems like they're talking about some kind of ghost. They use the word apparition the same way that we would. Okay.
Tush, tush. 'Twill not appear.
Sit down a while and let us once again assail your ears that are so fortified against our story what we 2 nights have seen.
Well, sit we down. And let us hear Bernardo speak of this.
Last night of all, when yon same star that's westward from the pole had made his course to illume that part of heaven where now it burns, Marcellus and myself, the bell then beating 1.
Enter ghost. Oh my God. So almost as if summoned, right as Bernardo starts to tell the story of what they saw last night, the ghost shows up.
Beast, break thee off. Look where it comes again.
In the same figure like the king that's dead.
Thou art a scholar. Speak to it, Horatio.
Looks it not like the king? Mark it, Horatio.
Most like. It harrows me with fear and wonder.
It would be spoke to.
Question it, Horatio.
What art thou that usurps this time of night, together with that fair and warlike form, in which the majesty of buried Denmark did sometimes march? By heaven, I charge thee, speak!
It is offended.
See, it stalks away.
Stay! Speak! Speak! I charge thee, speak!
'Tis gone, and will not answer.
All right, this ghost is not having it. Not going to talk to them for some reason. Shows up, shows himself, and as we might have guessed, like Bernardo says, in the same figure like the king that's dead, which means this appears to be the ghost of old Hamlet. It was young Hamlet, our main character's father. Okay, so we got to suspend our disbelief here and think about how horrified you would actually be if you saw something like this, which is a little bit hard to do, right? It's totally supernatural from the beginning, kind of like Macbeth was, right? You have the witches show up and all this stuff. But again, what we call suspend your disbelief. Go with it. Think about how they would actually feel. What would they do? Do they tell Hamlet? And also, it seems to be, it's together in that fair and warlike form in which the majesty of buried Denmark did sometimes march. In other words, seems to have his uniform, maybe his armor on that he looked like, because of course kings would actually fight in wars rather than just waging them like presidents and prime ministers and dictators and such do right now. Interesting little use of word here when Horatio says, it harrows me with fear and wonder. That's one of those words that Shakespeare kind of coined, because a harrow is actually a farming instrument. It looked like a huge rake with a lot of pointed spikes on it. And you drag it over the ground to kind of like break up the soil. Okay. And so Shakespeare uses it here. It harrows me. In other words, it's such a horrible experience. It feels like you have a harrow like dragging over you. So we use that now, right? I don't know whether you know that word, but it was a very harrowing experience, right? So it's one of those words that Shakespeare kind of, he used a metaphor to turn a word into a different meaning than it had originally from the physical object. All right, going on.
Answer.
How now, Horatio? You tremble and look pale. Is not this something more than fantasy? What think you on?
Before my God, I might not disbelieve, without the sensible and true avouch of mine own eyes.
Is it not like the king?
As thou art to thyself. Such was the very armour he had on, when he the ambitious Norway combated. So
Okay, so you have a question on the current political situation in Denmark. So you want to pay particularly close attention here, because they're talking about he looks just like he did when he combated Norway, when he was at war with Norway, right?
found he once, when in an angry parle he smote the sledded poleaxe on the ice. Oh, 'tis strange.
Thus twice before, and just at this dead hour, with martial stalk hath he gone by our watch.
In what particular thought to work I know not, but in the gross and scope of my opinion, this bodes some strange eruption to our state.
Okay, in other words, this seems like something weird. It seems like something is off, right? And now he's going to ask this kind of series of questions about what the heck has been going on around here anyway, right? Seems like something's messed up. Seems like something we don't know about, something that's not good, something that's unsafe. So he's going to ask some questions. What has been going on around Denmark lately? Marcellus asks.
Good now. Sit down, and tell me, he that knows, why this same strict and most observant watch so nightly toils the subject of the land? And why such daily cast of brazen cannon and foreign mart for implements of war? Why such impressive shipwrights, whose sore task does not divide the Sunday from the week? What might be toward that this sweaty haste doth make the night joint labour with the day? Who is that can inform me?
Okay, who can inform me, says Marcellus. All this, what seems to be preparation for war. They're working on cannons, ships, weapons, all this stuff, like we're about to be attacked or something. And Horatius, he says, who is it that, but by the way, you see how the iambic pentameter moves from one line to the other? Who is it that can inform me that I can, finishes the 10 syllables as Horatio starts to speak there. It's always moving in that 10 syllable pattern. Not always, but most of the time, unless he's purposely not doing it. So Horatio, smart guy, says, yeah, I can answer that. I'm in the know. And what does he say? Here's where he kind of explains the political situation.
That can I. At least the whisper goes so. Our last king, whose image even but now appeared to us, was, as you know, by Fortinbras of Norway, thereto pricked on by a most emulate pride, dared to the combat, in which our valiant Hamlet, for so this side of our known world esteemed him,
We're talking about old Hamlet, of course,
did slay this Fortinbras, who by a sealed compact, well ratified by law and heraldry, did forfeit with his life all those his lands which he stood seized on to the conqueror, against the which a moiety competent was gauged by our king, which had returned to the inheritance of Fortinbras had he been vanquisher, as by the same covenant and carriage of the article designed, his fell to Hamlet. Now, sir, young Fortinbras.
Okay, so there's an old Fortinbras who's defeated and actually killed by old Hamlet, and they were able to seize some lands treaty by that. Then there's a young Fortinbras left over. Kind of sounds like a familiar situation, doesn't it?
Of unimproved metal, hot and full, hath in the skirts of Norway here and there sharked up a list of lawless resolutes for food.
So young Fortinbras is getting together a bunch of mercenaries to do, guess what?
And diet to some enterprise that hath a stomach in't, which is no other, and it doth well appear unto our state, but to recover of us by strong hand and terms compulsatory those foresaid lands so by his father lost. And this, I take it, is the main motive of our preparations, the source of this our watch, and the chief head of this post-haste and rummage in the land.
I think it be no other but e'en so. Well may it sort that this portentous figure comes armored through our watch, so like the king that was and is the question of these wars.
Okay, so hopefully you can infer from all that what it is they are preparing for, because they suspect that it might happen.
A mote it is to trouble the mind's eye. In the most high and palmy state of Rome, a little ere the mightiest Julius fell, the graves stood tenantless, and the sheeted dead did squeak and gibber in the Roman streets, at stars with trains of fire and dews of blood, disasters in the sun. And the moist star, upon whose influence Neptune's empire stands, was sick almost to doomsday with eclipse. And even the light precurse of feared events, as harbingers preceding still the fates, and prologue to the omen coming on, have heaven and earth together demonstrated unto our climatures and
So Horatio is noting that after Julius Caesar was killed, that there were a whole bunch of bad omens, unnatural things. This kind of happens in Macbeth too. So the horses were eating each other. There was a small bird killing a large bird. Shakespeare's real big on omens, and he's also doing an allusion actually to his own play. How arrogant is that? I think it was part of the story, allegedly, even before Shakespeare wrote his play, that supposedly went on, that there were omens kind of indicating something unnatural, evil was going on, and so they're seeing that as happening here with the appearance of this ghost, right? Something is messed up, and there's going to be a really famous line that one of them is going to use to describe that scene.
But soft! Behold! Lo, where it comes again! I'll crush it though it blast me! Stay, illusion! If thou hast any sound or use of voice, speak to me! If there be any good thing to be done, that may to thee do ease and grace to me, speak to me! If thou art privy to thy country's fate, which happily foreknowing may avoid, oh, speak! Or if thou hast abhorred in thy life, exalted treasure in the womb of earth, for which they say you spirits oft walk in death, speak of it! Stay and speak! Stop it, Marcellus! Shall I strike at it with my partisan?
Okay, you hear the cock crows, which means the sun is coming up. Working third shift, these guards are probably. They still can't get it to talk to him, right? So it shows up again for some reason. Maybe he wants someone else to be there who's not there. But they're kind of freaked out, right? Trying to think if they should, if it's a demon or something, should they strike at it with their weapons? Should I strike it with my partisan, like he says?
Oh, if it will not stand! 'Tis here! 'Tis here!
And he leaves again.
Tis gone. We do it wrong, being so majestical, to offer it the show of violence. For it is as the air invulnerable, and our vain blows malicious mockery.
It was about to speak when the cock crew.
And then it started like a guilty thing, upon a fearful summons. I have heard the cock, that is the trumpet to the morn, doth with his lofty and shrill-sounding throat awake the god of day. And at his warning, whether in sea or fire, in earth or air, the extravagant and erring spirit hies to his confine. And of the truth herein, this present object made probation.
It faded on the crowing of the cock. Some say that ever gainst that season comes wherein our Saviour's birth is celebrated. The bird of dawning singeth all night long. And then, they say, no spirit dare stir abroad. The nights are wholesome, then no planets strike, no fairy takes, nor witch hath power to charm. So hallowed and so gracious is the time.
Okay, that's just kind of reflecting their general Christian beliefs in a more superstitious time, the night, is a time of evil and demons and spirits. They really don't know what this ghost is. Is it really Hamlet's father? Is it up to no good? Is it a demon in disguise, some evil spirit? It goes away when the sun comes up, and then it's, a good time and not an evil time. They don't know what to think.
So have I heard, and do in part believe it. But look, the morn in russet mantle clad walks o'er the dew of yon high eastern hill. Break we our watch up, and by my advice, let us impart what we have seen tonight unto young Hamlet. For upon my life, this spirit, dumb to us, will speak to him. Do you consent we shall acquaint him with it, as needful in our loves, fitting our duty?
Let's do it, I pray. And I this morning know where we shall find him most conveniently.
And fade out. Okay, so as you might have guessed, they're going to tell Hamlet what's going on, right? That's going to be a little bit difficult news to break to him. We don't really know the timeline here, how long Hamlet's father's been dead. So that's something we want to think about, see if we can figure out as we go. But they say this spirit dumb to us, and dumb in the sense of like mute, like won't speak, right? Will speak to him, I would think. Do you consent we shall acquaint him with it? Do you think we should tell him? Yes, of course. So they're going to go tell him, and we'll see where it goes from there. Scene 2, as you can see, starts in some different place, room in the state of the castle. And I will end this session now. And your next video will be for scene 2.